Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today I'm going to tell you about 8 awesome fragrances I wore this week that I think you should know about. So let's just jump right in. Alright, so this week I'm going to go over the 8 fragrances that I wore throughout the week. And there is actually no real theme to this. I had a tough time labeling this video because it is kind of all over the map. These are different style fragrances. Some were for like a little bit cooler weather and some were for like screeching hot days. So I couldn't really name this video. There are like some that are discontinued. There are some that are like a little bit on the pricier side in comparison to others. So I couldn't think of a theme. It's just 8 fragrances I wore this week that I really enjoyed. So without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so kicking things off on Saturday, I had 2 major events that I had to go to that day. One of which was a family gathering where I was gonna meet up with all my aunts and my uncles, my cousins. I was gonna see my parents, my sister, and a bunch of friends of the family. So I wanted to reach for something that wasn't gonna blow out the entire room. It was gonna be kind of close quarters with a lot of people, but I still wanted to smell fresh. I still wanted to smell kind of fun, pleasant, and not very challenging. And so I reached for English Laundry's Throne. Now this is a eau de parfum concentration, and you can pick up a 100 milliliter bottle of this for about $32 on discounters like FragranceNet. You can also find these at rack stores all the time, and I see these pop up quite a bit. Throne maybe not so much, but you do see these pop up on occasion when you're out in the wild, so keep an eye out for that. But 32 bucks, places like FragranceNet. I'll have links to all these down in the description below if you want to check them out. So, English Laundry. This is a very nice, fun, playful fragrance. It opens up very sweet with like a green apple with like some lemon zest and a little bit of spice with some black pepper. It reminds me a lot of Rassai Darius' opening. It's not nearly as powerful as Darius, but there is some definite overlaps with that. So it has that sweet, bright, fun, playful style opening. And then as it dries down, it gets a little bit more kind of clean lavender and some florals that mix in there. Not overwhelmingly floral, but it does have a touch of earthiness, a touch of florals mixing in there. And then it dries down to kind of a nice wood, masculine, musky base, but that sweetness stays with it the entire time. That green apple, that lemony zest flavor to it rides through the entire fragrance. And let me tell you, when I was at the family gathering and I was, giving everyone hugs and saying hello or whatever, this was a compliment monster that day. It was a rare occasion, granted, like I'm not going around hugging people all day, most days, but in this occasion I was. But every single person I was hugging was just like, oh my God, you smell so great. Oh, okay, come over here, come smell Chris, come smell Chris. So, I mean, this worked great. This was great. I was getting compliments all day with this. It's a very easy, very fun, very playful fragrance, not challenging whatsoever, and it just smells fantastic. Now, performance on this, it's an English Laundry. It's not that great. I got about 4 hours, 5 hours tops with this off my skin. Projection in the first hour maybe was moderate. It wasn't pushing out very hard. It is a very intimate scent. It does stick close to you, and so that's when I was saying, when I was, giving hugs out to everybody, getting hugs from everybody, that's when they were really smelling it. So it does its job when you're kind of in more of an intimate setting, but if you're looking for a performance beast, this is not going to be it for you. I still really enjoy the scent profile. Like I said, this is one of my favorite English Laundries, and so despite the performance, I think this is great. I think the price point is pretty good. If you can get this, at a rack store for, $25, $30, I think this is a good pickup. Great for the summer, great for the spring, does well in the heat, but it also does a little bit better like in the cooler weather as well. I think it's just a pretty versatile, casual style fragrance that I think you would really enjoy and you should probably check out. That's English Laundry's Throne. All right, so we are still on Saturday and I had my second event of the day. And it was a birthday party, but the weather had really turned. By about mid-afternoon, it really started raining. It got fairly cold out. And I reached for something that I haven't reached for in quite a while, and that is Spice Bomb Fresh. Now this is discontinued now. You will have a really tough time finding this one. You might find it on eBay, and I think some people are charging absolutely ludicrous prices for this on eBay. So, I mean, buyer beware. I wouldn't break the bank on this now. If you can find it for a decent price, pick it up, but I don't know. It's gonna be tough to find, but I'm including it in this video because I wore it this week and I wanted to tell you about it. Now, Spice Bomb Fresh, I don't think a lot of people have even heard about Spice Bomb Fresh. It was kind of showed up and disappeared fairly quickly within the Spice Bomb line. What this is essentially a fresher version of the OG Spice Bomb, and that DNA is definitely in this. Like, The only difference really between the OG Spice Bomb and this is it's slightly fresher because it has a lavender in it, a little bit more grapefruit, and some sea salt notes in this. And it also does not have like the cinnamon, and it doesn't have the saffron or that paprika that the OG has. So this is a fresher version, but as soon as you spray this, there's no denying the Spice Bomb DNA is in here. It still has those spices. It still has that kind of warm, cozy feeling, but it does have that fresh edge to it. Funny enough, because this is called Spice Bomb Fresh, it's still kind of not a summer fragrance. I find this almost, it's more kind of a fall, maybe spring. I think in the high heat, this is actually still too much of a fragrance, you know, with all those spices that are mixed in there. So because it was a dreary day, because it was kind of rainy outside, I felt this was kind of a good reach. This still turns heads just like the OG Spice Bomb. This did just as well. Again, when I was at this birthday party, I had a lot of people ask me what I was wearing, telling me I smell great, and that was all to my friend here, Spice Bomb Fresh. It just works. That Spice Bomb DNA is one of my favorites. It just works, and that's what you get in this with a little bit of fresh touch to it. So performance on this was pretty good. I got about 6-7 hours off my skin. Projection in the first hour and a half to 2 hours was pretty, you know, pushing out pretty good before it settled in a little bit more. But in settings like a birthday party, or, you know, if you're going to be, you know, mulling around, hanging out with people in a casual setting, you can even maybe dress this up on kind of a cooler summer evening type thing. I think this works just great. It's the Spice Bomb DNA, just a little bit fresher, and I absolutely love it. And that is Spice Bomb Fresh. So moving into Sunday, it was a beautiful, hot summer day. I wanted to reach for something that was just gonna be light, easy, give me that summer vibe, because we're starting to get to the end of summer, and I just wanna just ride this out while I can. And so I reached for one of my favorites in the line, and that is a Zoro Chrome Aqua. Now this you can pick up for about $35 at most discounters. I'll have some links down in the description, as I mentioned before, so you can check this out if it sounds like something you'd like. And I think it is something you're gonna like, because this opens up with the nicest citrus grapefruit with like a touch of like sweet apple in there, and then it moves into like more C notes, and like a spicy kind of basil earthiness kind of moves in there with that C notes that kind of elevates the saltiness to it, elevates that citrus, and then it sits on this nice vetiver where it, like, again, it kind of boosts that citrus, it boosts that aquatic nature, and it's just an awesome aquatic style fragrance. And I just have to smell it right now because it's one of my favorite aquatics. That opening is, I absolutely love that opening. That citrus there that comes through, and you immediately get some of that sea salt notes coming through. It just has aquatic, citrus, aromatic vibe written all over it. Summer banger for me. I absolutely love reaching for this one. The performance on this is pretty good. I get about 5-6 hours off my skin. In the first hour and a half, 2 hours, I get pretty good projection. I can feel this pushing off my skin fairly well, especially in the high heat. This does great in the high heat. So first hour and a half, 2 hours, this pushes off before it settles in a little bit. And again, 5-6 hours off my skin before it really starts becoming more of a skin scent. This is perfect for the summer. I have worn this in cooler weather. I wore this in the winter once just because I missed this fragrance and I wanted to wear it. And it still performed fairly well in the cold. So, I mean, this is a summer fragrance. That's pretty much where this shines. But you can try this out in cooler weather, spring, fall, and even maybe in the winter, and you're still gonna really enjoy it. If you haven't checked it out before, I highly recommend it. That is Zoro Chrome Aqua. So moving into Tuesday, I reached for something that is one of my favorites from the line, and that is our Moth Trainer. Now I get it. The bottle's, even to my taste, is a little tacky. And like, I like some weird bottles, but they've outdone themselves with the Trainer. I don't understand why they went this direction, but they did. And so, you know, hats off to our Moth for pushing the boundary in terms of Cologne bottle design. But this bad boy, you can pick up at most discounters for about $40 if you can find it. It actually gets sold out fairly quick. When I was planning to make this video, I was looking around to see where it is still available, and I did find it at one spot for about $40. Again, I'll have a link down in the description, but this is a little tricky to find sometimes, so you might have to like set notifications at your discounter just to let you know when they restock it. But when you can find it, this is such a good fragrance. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's like zesty, clean, grassy, masculine style fragrance. It has been compared to Creed's Green Irish Tweed. I do not own that one, so I can't compare it, but let me tell you, this fragrance is absolutely fire. I love this. I love this fragrance. It opens with like a lemon verbena and a lemon with some iris there, and then in the mid you got some like lavender maybe a little bit of violet that comes through, and then it dries down to like this nice sandalwood with a little bit of spicy notes to it. It's just, it feels like you're like walking through a meadow with your girlfriend or boyfriend, whoever you prefer, and just feeling like a man, just feeling like a zesty, clean, fresh, grassy man in a meadow. I hope that's a good description, but that's what this is. This is just so fresh, so clean with a little bit of zest, and it has that masculine edge to it, and it just works. And performance on this, I get really good performance on this. I get about 6-8 hours off my skin, no problem. Projection for the first hour and a half, pretty good, beyond arm's length, and then it does settle in a little bit closer, but it stays consistent for a while. In the heat, I can just feel this pushing off for the first hour, 2 hours, and I'm getting whiffs of this throughout the day in the high heat. Perfect for spring as well. This has a very spring vibe to it because of kind of that grassy feel, that clean zestiness to it. This just works in the spring, but it also works in the high heat summer. Absolutely love this. It has a little touch of sweetness at the base too. Now that I'm smelling it in the air, there is a little bit of sweetness to it, but it does have that masculine kind of sandalwood sitting at the base. Beautiful fragrance, ugly bottle. I think you should be checking it out if you haven't already. That's our Moth Trainer. So moving into Tuesday, I was really feeling like I wanted to wear another aquatic style fragrance. Again, summer's coming to an end here, and I'm gonna have to ride out these aquatic fragrances while I can. So I reached for one of my favorites, and that is Bulgari Aqua Marine. Now, this fragrance is one of my favorite aquatic fragrances, and the unfortunate thing is this friggin' bottle is, I hate these Bulgari Aqua bottles. They are so dumb. They don't stay on my shelf very well. They take up way too much space for what they are. These should all come with a stand at least so they can sit like this, but no, they gotta sit like this on my shelf, and I can't even see them half the time. They take up way too much room. I'm sorry for yelling. Let's get back into the fragrance. This one opens up with a beautiful citrus with some neroli, grapefruit, and then it moves into like really nice sea salty notes. I think there's a seaweed note that's mentioned in this, and it just works. It's the most aquatic style fragrance that I think I have in my collection, or at least one of them, and it's just a beautiful scent profile. This feels like sitting by the ocean, getting, you know, that sea mist in your face with that saltiness, that freshness, that just aquatic nature to it. Beautiful, beautiful scent profile. This is discontinued, but you can still pick this up. This runs you about $50 to $60 on most discounters. I'll have a link down in the description to a couple I found that for a good price, but this is not going to be around forever. And if you like aquatic style fragrances, this is something you definitely should be adding to your collection because it's one of the best in my opinion for the price point. Performance on this was pretty good. I got about 5-6 hours, which for a fresh aquatic style fragrance is a decent performer. It does push out for about the first hour and a half fairly well before it settles in a little bit more, and then it does become a little bit more of a skin scent. By the time you hit about the 5-hour mark, you might get some whiffs of it by the 6-hour mark. So you might want to spray on your clothes. You might want to pack this with you. You can probably fit this in your pocket. That's one advantage to this bottle, is you can just slide it into your pocket. It's a dumb bottle though. I don't like this bottle. But despite that, beautiful scent profile on this. One of my favorite marine aquatic style fragrances. I think you should be checking it out while you can, and that is Bulgari Aqua Marine. All right, so moving into Wednesday, I reached for one of my most versatile fragrances in my collection, something I love wearing in the summer in the high heat, but I enjoy just as much in the fall, in the spring, and even into the winter, and that is Mont Blanc Explorer. Now, this one has been talked about quite a bit, and if you haven't heard of it before, you're hearing about it now, and it's a fantastic fragrance. It has been compared to Creed Aventus. It's one of the 4,020 different Creed Aventus style fragrances, clones, dupes, whatever you want to call it. Not sure if Mont Blanc went out to clone Creed Aventus, but whatever. We're going to talk about this as a standalone fragrance, and I absolutely love this fragrance. The opening has this beautiful mix of this bitter bergamot with some spices into it. It's just like a juicy, mouth-watering kind of bitter bergamot. With those spices though, it's this like clary sage that's mixed in there with some pepper. And then it moves into this kind of leather vetiver style mid to it. And at the base, you have a lot of ambroxan that pushes through. A little bit of earthiness coming through for some of the base notes, but the ambroxan you can't deny. And then that leather and that vetiver that sits in there, and that bitter bergamot still rides through it. The citrus kind of dies down, but you still get that bitter bergamot that rides through the entire fragrance, balances out with those spices, some of that earthiness and that ambroxan. It's a very masculine, piney, citrusy fresh, versatile style fragrance. This for me is just a compliment monster. Every time I wear this, I get someone commenting that I smell fantastic. It's an easy fragrance to wear. It's not very challenging, and it just smells great, and it's so versatile in my opinion. You can wear this casually, and you can dress this up. You could wear this to a fancy dinner as well as you could to a casual lunch. You could wear this running errands. You could wear this to the opera. I think this just does well in all seasons. This, for me, I wore this in the high heat, and this was pushing hard off my skin in the high heat. I just love wearing this one in the high heat. With that Ambroxan, it sticks around, and I'm getting whiffs of it all day long without it being like obnoxious and pushing too hard that would probably annoy people. Off my skin, I got an easy 6 to 8 hours off this. Projection first 2 hours was nice, big scent bubble before it settled in and stayed fairly consistent, you know, within an arm's length for about the 6 hour mark. Again, I was getting whiffs of this all day. I enjoy the performance on this. I think it does fantastic, especially in the high heat. Spring and fall in the cooler weather, it still performs fairly well, maybe a little bit less because I think the heat activates this quite a bit, but versatile fragrance, performs great. Beautiful scent profile, makes you smell masculine, makes you smell great. Absolutely love it for a price point of about $50, $60 on discounters. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's something you should have in your collection, and that is Mont Blanc Explorer. All right, so moving into Thursday, it was almost Friday, and I wanted to feel like it was almost Friday. I was just done with the work week. It was a long week of work, and I just wanted to have that party vibe. I wanted to have that summer vibe. I just wanted to smell like something awesome, and that is Tommy Bahama St. Bart's. Now this, in like the shortest way I could say, is vacation in a bottle. This is lime, tequila, a little bit of like agave to add a touch of sweetness, and then like salt and green notes. This is just aquatic party, drinking a tequila, drinking a cocktail at the beach, pool party style fragrance. Vacation in a bottle. That's all this smells like. Absolutely love this one. This is probably my favorite in the Tommy Bahama line because it just works. I love the lime in the opening. I have to smell it now because I'm just talking about it. So it's just, the one thing that does suck is this friggin' bottle is hard to hold. Like you gotta have a wide grip on her. Like you gotta have a really wide grip. Make sure your fingers aren't slippery because this was not ergonomically designed. Ergonomically. Anyways. Oh, that lime right off the top, that lime tequila vibe that you get right off the top, just beautiful. This rounds out with like a little bit of a musk and a palm leaf note at the base. I'm not really sure what a palm leaf smells like necessarily, but it does add a little bit of like kind of that masculine edge to it, a little bit of like earthiness, a little bit of green to it, but you get that tequila vibe throughout this whole thing. You're not gonna smell like you spilled tequila on you, but it just has that pool party style vibe to it. Definitely a casual wear fragrance. You may be able to get away with this, like maybe at like kind of a nice summer patio style dinner if you're on vacation. I think this would still work, but definitely a casual fragrance. Definitely a summer fragrance. This is an Eau de Cologne, and you can pick this up for about $29, $30 at discounters, I believe I saw. You can also find this at rack stores quite often. I picked this up from Nordstrom Rack for, I believe it was about $25. So in that range, $25, $30, you can find these most places and online. Links in the description if you want to check this one out. I absolutely love this one. This is, like I said, vacation in a bottle. Performance on this, not so great. This is an Eau de Cologne concentration. I get about 4 hours. So you're gonna have to pack this with you. You're gonna, you know, if you're going to the pool for a few hours, you're gonna have to refresh after you're done because it does not stick around very long. Projection on this for the first hour and a bit is fairly decent. Again, it's not a monster. It doesn't push out too hard before it starts settling in. So you will have to reapply. Not great performance on this. It is what it is, but for the scent profile and for the price point, you can just bathe in this stuff and you can keep reapplying all day, every day, and you're gonna smell fantastic. If you don't have this already, I think you should. That is Tommy Bahama St. Bart's. All right, so moving into Friday, it was a little bit cooler than it was throughout the week. So I reached for a fragrance that I haven't worn since probably the spring, and I decided to cheat even though this is not a summer fragrance, and I grabbed Rassai Darius. Now this one you can grab for a ridiculously low price of about $20 at places like Joma Shop. I'll have the link down in the description if you want to check this out. I think this smells so much better than the price point you're paying. This is a beautiful style fragrance. It opens with this cumin, this cardamom, and this earthy kind of wormwood note, I believe, that has just like a touch of earthiness to it, a little bit of bitterness with those sweet spicy sort of notes with the cumin and the cardamom. It then moves into a little bit more florals in the mid, where you get like a touch of rose, but what you really get is this orris root iris to it that really elevates some florals to it and adds this powderiness to it. As this dries down, you start getting a beautiful medley of like vanilla, amber, and tonka coming through. With that powderiness from that orris root, you get a beautiful, powdery, spicy, sweet vanilla vibe starting to happen. There's a little bit of patchouli that's in here as well that adds a little bit of earthiness to it, a little bit of musk that adds to it, it gives it kind of that masculine edge. But what you really get from this in the dry down is that powdery vanilla mixed with some of those spices and just like a touch of florals to it. Beautiful scent profile. I absolutely love how this smells. As I said, not necessarily a summer fragrance. I did wear it when it was still summer and it was still moderately warm outside. Maybe not the best situation, but I missed this so much and I wanted to cheat and I wore it and I liked it. It did fairly well, but it does do better in cool weather. I will admit to that. This is more of a cool weather fragrance. Fall, early spring, definitely in the winter. I think this is when you can pull this one off the best. Performance on this, I got pretty good performance. It was about 6 hours off my skin, maybe a little bit longer, but it was kind of a skin scent after 6 hours. Projection in the first hour and a half was pretty good. It was about an arm's length. I was kind of pushing out and I was getting a decent scent bubble. And then I could, tell it was settling in a little bit closer. So wasn't a huge monster beast mode fragrance off my skin. I've heard varying reviews in terms of how this performs. Some people say this is absolute beast. Other people say not so much. For me, about average. That's about what I got with this one. And it just worked for a price point of $20 for the scent profile and for the, average performance. Steal of a deal. One of my favorite from the line, that is Rassai Darius. All right, so there you have it. That is 8 awesome fragrances that I wore this week that I think you should be checking out. So let me know down in the comments, have you tried any of these before? What did you think? What was your favorites? And also, what were you wearing this week? I want to hear what you guys were wearing. Give me some recommendations. Tell me what your favorite fragrance was this week that you think I should be checking out, that I should add to my collection. So do that. Go open the comment box, start typing, leave me a comment. Love reading your comments. Love your recos. You guys are awesome. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.